All right, and welcome to Character Spotlight, where we go over and spotlight some characters. First up, we have David. So, David, why don't you go and tell everybody what your character name, class, race, all that good stuff is?
In our D&D, I play as Jarthur Meholle, who is a gnome wizard. He's specifically a student of illusion, and part of the idea when putting this character together was I didn't want him to be like super optimized to be uh, a mage that does a ton of damage, throwing fireballs left and right. I wanted him to be uh, more of like a role play character, and whether or not I've succeeded in that, I guess we'll see
Sure.
continuing forward. But that was the idea behind that.
Yeah. So, when did your character come to Lotusville?
Uh, for him,
Hmm.
his backstory is that he's basically like the eternal college student kind of a character. But he wasn't actually paying for college. He was just like auditing classes
Sure.
and sneaking in, uh, you know, making PDFs of the books. As far as uh, that works in a medieval
Sure.
society. Mostly just stealing
That's,
books and
I
trying to
imagine
sell
like
them to other
Mage
people.
Hand over in the corner in the middle of a classroom, just like under a blanket, just writing stuff down for you.
Oh yeah, definitely. So he's basically he had a friend at this mage academy, and for whatever reason, their relationship got strained, and his parents are basically kicked him out and were like, "Get a job." So, among other things, there was an argument that he had with a guy who was like basically one of the kids of the counselors of the town or whatever.
Sure.
Uh, so all of that made him say, you know what, I'm gonna go off on my own and I'm gonna be successful and
Right.
I'm gonna, you know, be the next big thing. So he went and got on a ship and came to Dandelion, and where he kind of got off the ship and literally just followed the tallest person getting off the ship,
Mm-hmm.
which was Kano.
Okay, no, yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
and sat down at a table and was given a job opportunity and jumped on it
Sure.
because he hadn't gotten
Yeah,
anything for the past 6 months. So
absolutely.
he was like,
When
"Hey,
opportunity drops in
fortune!"
your lap, you gotta take it.
Exactly.
Right. How would you
Uh,
describe your character in a few words?
he's uh, a little egotistical.
Hmm.
He thinks he can do things better than almost anybody else.
Sure.
He's definitely very vindictive. We've
Yeah.
we've seen that in action past couple of sessions. But he's also I can't think of the word. Uh, uh, like he's got a kind of rose tinted goggles and how he sees the world. He thinks the world is a better place than it actually is.
Optimistic.
He's an optimistic
Yeah.
idealist.
Sure.
So he thinks that like if everybody were given access to magic, then the world would be such a better
Yeah,
place.
absolutely.
And
Yeah, for sure.
and
Hmm.
that's not like I think part of this campaign is he's realizing that there's a lot of people out there who abuse
Sure.
magic and abuse the power that they're given.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of bad people out there. Um, has Jarthur developed any like friendships? Were there any like bonding moments so far between like you and the other players?
So primarily, Jarthur has a big soft spot for Kano
Hmm.
because the guy is like kind of from Jarthur's perspective specifically, he's kind of a dumb lump,
Yeah.
but he's lovable, and he's also very big
Hmm.
and intimidating, which Jarthur really likes to have somebody who's big and intimidating with him
Sure.
because he's always been the kid who got picked on.
Yeah.
He
Also,
thought he was smarter
Kano
than he
is like
actually was.
twice of Jarthur's height, so
Oh yeah,
just dug
easily.
between those legs.
Yeah, yeah. He feels like, but also Kano is kind of got like an angry streak that Jarthur kind of vibes with. Like he can understand like having that anger,
Sure,
but he's kind of like he doesn't really do anything about it
sure.
most of the time.
Yeah.
But he kind of vibes with that. Um,
Do you think Kano's prevalence for anger and violence kind of like spurs Jarthur on a little bit in that same direction, or do you think it's like, oh, Kano's taking care of this, so I don't need to be as vindictive now as I would have been otherwise?
I think it's a little bit of both. I feel like he kind of thrives off of that energy,
Hmm.
but at the same, so like, you know, the whole let's kick that giant into the thing of acid was
Yeah.
totally like that kind of a moment where they were feeding off of each other.
Sure. Yeah.
But at the same time, um, like them having like the build up moments, but
Hmm.
also like Jarthur will be holding Kano back in some situations,
Sure.
and I feel
The
like
voice of reason.
Kano stepping in front of Jarthur to make sure he doesn't get hurt
Hmm.
for something that he ends up doing is probably something that's going to end up happening sooner or later.
Sure.
Uh, Now, as for the other characters, I feel like Jarthur didn't really get Goldie.
Yeah.
Like they didn't really like the animals. Like
Sure.
what's with that? So they didn't really get along. Zephyr and Jarthur are very similar in a lot of ways. I
Hmm.
feel like. And then there was a couple of times where Zoro and Jarthur had like a cool moment where they decided to pull a prank on like
Sure.
Kano or something,
Yeah.
and that kind of came from Jarthur's mischievous side. Like he's gonna mess with people and he's gonna
Sure.
enjoy doing it.
Yeah. What was that
Um,
that one prank that you guys did? Um it was during the session that John was DMing. There was
yes,
something that was done in like Kino's shoes. Do you remember what that
yeah,
was?
they put like a rock in his shoe, or like poured water in his shoe or
Yeah.
something like that. Something
Yeah.
dumb.
Yeah.
And I think Kane, like Jarthur was like, I'm gonna put like a piece of bread and like sprinkle it into his shoe,
Hmm.
so like he steps and he has like that gravelly
Yeah.
feeling. Anyway,
Just a slight discomfort.
yeah, just enough to like something's off. I don't know
Yeah.
what it is, but something's off.
Sure. So, what's the funniest or most surprising thing that has happened to Jarthur so far?
Funniest would definitely be, in my opinion, when we saw off Goldie and we
Hmm.
had the our adventures as according to Goldie
Sure. Yeah.
play that we did, and Jarthur was like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna play as Kano,"
Yeah.
and decided to do that, and
You had a
I
lot of
made
lines.
it
That was a
so that
tough
like
part.
Kano was having a hard time laughing. I
Yeah.
think this is not wasn't recorded, but
Yeah.
Kano all of Kano's lines were just meows.
Yeah. 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 For reference, so this was like a 3-page skit that I wrote for everyone. So Goldie was a previous character, which is no longer in the session. But anyways, it was kind of like the last seeing off of Goldie type mission. So basically, they
Mhm.
went to a town. They discovered her. She'd gotten into acting. She kind of found her like life's purpose there. So that was kind of like wrapping up her story. But I'm also a big fan of like revisionist history, right? And going back and seeing history told with just like slight changes. So I took some liberties in that play and made the history of Lotusville according to Goldie, and yeah, so it was a fun little skit we had. Um, what is your favorite thing that another player has done so far?
I think there's been a couple of times where Zoro has just been like, "This is probably gonna get me hurt or killed,
Yeah,
but I'm gonna do it anyway."
yeah,
And like in the moment, I was like, "No, don't." But like secretly smiling
yeah,
inside because it's funny when
Sure,
when
yeah.
when the character doesn't act quite as smart,
Yeah.
which is uh like in our last episode, Zoro also decided to just go full hog on an
Yeah.
interrogation, and I feel
Yeah.
like that was
He
a
went for
pretty
it.
fun moment.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
great. Yeah. For reference, that is 4:30 Eon, so go watch it. Uh,
Mhm.
what is your favorite thing that the DM has done so far?
I think I like the fact that you have not pulled any punches for
Mm-hmm.
us as far as combat encounters is going. Um, uh, Having the world, I really like the world, the map, and having it be relatively consistent within
Sure.
itself.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that really speaks to me as a fellow DM.
Sure.
Like having to put that together is a very rough set of whatever you want to call it, circumstances, work,
Yeah.
but it's quite impressive.
Sure. If your character could give advice to a new adventurer, what would it be?
Um, Magic solves all your problems.
All of them. They just go away.
Yeah, exactly. But on a more serious note, I think he at this point in the campaign he would be like, be careful because if you aren't, people will die.
Mm-hmm.
And like people have come really close to dying in our campaign. They haven't died yet. So I kind of have a suspicion that Jarthur will be having a really rough time if
Mm-hmm.
any of our characters actually die. So I kind of want to see a
Emotional trauma.
emotional trauma. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Where do you see your character heading, like level wise? Like as we level up, do you plan on sticking like a true wizard? Do you plan on multi-classing at all? Like what are your intentions?
Um, for now, it's definitely gonna be full wizard.
Sure.
I kind of built this character with like I was looking at the illusion subclass, and I think it's at like level 10 or something. I can't remember off the top of my head. Uh, they get the opportunity to create an illusion, and then as a I don't know if it's as a bonus action or what, but they can make part of the illusion actually be real.
Mm-hmm.
So, you illusion a wall in front of you, and then you can
Sure.
make that wall
Make it real.
real,
Sure. Yeah.
and or illusion somebody into a cage and
Mm-hmm.
make the cage real, or so on and so forth. And that kind of a thing really appealed to me because I feel like you can do a lot of creative things with
Oh
it.
yeah, for sure. A
And
lot.
so I kind of saw that and I was like, how would I make a character who would be unoptimal enough to
Mm-hmm.
actually get to that point?
Yeah.
Because the other stuff that you get as an illusion school mage is all
Yeah.
just
It's not that
not
great.
great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can get other stuff. So I mean, it's
Sure.
not like you can't get like fireball and whatever. But
Yeah.
uh, so yeah, that's what where the plan was entering this character.
Sure.
Now, admittedly, uh, Eric, our DM, gave us the opportunity to change our class entirely in that same episode where Goldie left, who was a ranger and then became a barbarian, which was very funny, by the way. Um, and I had a really tough time turning that down
Yeah.
because right now Jarthur's not very tough. He's got a very low AC.
You don't have
He's
mage armor.
he does not have
You
mage
don't
armor,
have
and
shield.
he does not have shield. He's a
The two
very very
defensive
squishy guy.
staples.
Yes, he's a very squishy boy. So because of that, I was seriously rethinking some of the choices there.
Mm,
But in the end, I decided I got to stick through it and see what happens.
sure.
And you know,
And
we'll see what happens.
I to your credit, I kind of like how non-optimized you are specifically in the defense department because offense you're not really crippled. Like you still have plenty of stuff at
I
your
still have
yeah,
options.
yeah. But defensively, you have nothing. You have you have Kano, right?
Pretty
So
much,
that
yeah.
also puts pressure on other people to help fill the roles that you would normally be able to fill yourself in not taking damage. And it's like, okay, now you have to be the backliner. Like you can't be up front taking damage, or you will
Yeah.
die very quickly.
To be fair, he does have a decent constitution, so he has a
Correct.
relatively high health pool for a wizard.
Yeah.
Doesn't always help, though.
Right. And what are some goals that Jarthur has for the future?
So Jarthur, his biggest goal has been to start a library, and that has been a goal for a while.
Hmm.
We're getting a little bit of echo here.
Okay.
All right, so that's definitely been mostly fulfilled. I think it will be by the next session.
Should be. Yeah.
So from there, I think one of the things he's always wanted to do is make access to magic be a lot more available. So that's probably going to be the next thing he does.
Yeah.
Maybe he starts a wizard school or something
Yeah.
along those lines. But
Start
of
giving
course, he's
some
going to
Stephen and
be
Lydia some magic in their hands. What could go wrong?
yeah, yeah. Well, it's young children with access to illusion magic.
Yeah.
Sounds like a really good plan.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's the current plan.
Sure. All right. Well, that wraps up my questions. Is there anything else you would like to talk about for Jarthur?
Um, as long as he doesn't die, we're good. If he does die, I always have a backup character. So and that's
Sure.
it. That's how it goes.
You may die, you may not. We shall see.
Yeah, next session sounds like it's gonna be fun.
Well, thanks for joining me, David. Remember to like, subscribe, comment, and let David know in the comment section if you have any questions for Jarthur. He'll be happy to reply.
Sure.
Bye.
Bye.